Welcome to What's Your Beautiful No. This is, I think, the 6th show I've done with some of my fave people. Tonight, I'm bringing on for you to share her beautiful no. Somebody who's very dear to me. I have not seen her in a very long time because she lives in Canada and we're not allowed to go there. I love that country. I love you so much. Her name is Kylie McBeath. And I met her 4 years ago, 5 years ago on Whistler Mountain in British Columbia. And I had just been speaking at a Wanderlust event. And I was like, who is this bright thing who really oozes love, unconditional love? That's a very unusual thing to receive unconditional love from a stranger, and really super powerful. Here's how she describes herself, because I wanted to pull it up so I could read it to you. I'm a truth-telling, eternally curious introvert. She's a certified health coach, emotional expert, co-founder of the integrative health platform Zura Health, podcaster, speaker, writer. What can't she do? I'm going to bring her on now because I miss her. And I love her. And remember the beautiful no, heartbreak, disappointment, rejection, failure. A door slams in your face. Somebody says, no, thank you. And you find out when you look back that no was the key to everything good that's happened since. So we're going to ask Kylie about that. I've told mine a million times. It's the title of my memoir, The Beautiful No. I've told it a million times. It has become a foundational spiritual principle for me. I see it all the time. I go on a hunt. That's what this little social show is. I go on a hunt to find everybody's beautiful no's because I think it's good for all of us to be reminded that things are working out for us. So I'm going to bring her in.
Hi, everyone.
Oh, my heart is full. My heart is just full, my friend, before I tip
Carrie.
over this whole Mariah Carey glam
Mm.
apparatus I have going on here. No, really. It's a wonder I can turn anything on.
Mm.
Hi!
Hi, love. Such an
Happy New
honor.
Year.
Oh, I love spending time with you. I've missed you.
I miss you so much.
It's
The
been a
last
long
time,
time.
honestly, it's been a long time. I think the last time you and I were in person, you and Create the Love Mark Groves came over for dinner to my house in Los Angeles when I was living there.
Yes.
And you were on a most admirable year-long alcohol fest. And so Mark and I were totally in our cups because
Totally.
we drank it all. And I remember I woke up the next day and I was like, dang, that Kylie, man, those were nerves of steel because it was a good party.
It was. And it was a good bottle.
It was a good bottle. I
It
broke
was,
out the good stuff for
you
you
brought the
guys.
good stuff out. So you were tempting me because we were only about, I think, 4 weeks away from my deadline because I went sober at 17. And you were like, and I was like, it's close. But I was like, no, we can't.
No.
We
Oh
can't.
my God. I would have never forgiven myself. There's Brandon Collinsworth.
Hi,
Brandon's in the
B.
house. Hi, Brandon. You're coming on too, sir.
Hi,
So
Shannon.
Kylie,
Yes, love.
at the time when I first went live and I started talking to the peeps because this is gonna be in my main feed
Hmm.
um, probably next week, and so it will already the transitional 24-hour term will have already happened. I personally think it's like mid-December through the end of January that we just have this real supersized spiritual opportunity to
Yeah.
honor what's happened
Hmm.
and to conjure what's coming next. How do you feel about
Hmm.
that?
Yeah, I was listening to you before you invited me into this beautiful space, and I've been feeling that so huge in my own body and my own experience is that we're really in this liminal space, the space in between. And
Yeah.
it's like unknown and we don't know what's on the other side. So I love the invitation of like, what are we actually birthing through the other side? There's like this
Right.
really beautiful opportunity for us to declare and anchor into something more deeply so that we can usher it through this liminal space. So it's like there's a lot of anticipation and like a lot
but
of
Kylie, don't you agree with this? For God's sakes, people, whatever you do, don't let it just go by unnoticed.
yeah.
You know, like take this moment in your hands and give it ceremony and ritual and in the import it really does have.
Yeah. Yeah, I really, Sherry, I could not agree more with you, is to really bring this into the sacred space and create some intention ceremony around this time. This time more than ever, it feels like, to get really clear and remember just how powerful we are in our words. And I know that you're doing a lot of beautiful work to support people in rewriting that story and really claiming what it is that they are here to do, be, live, and really steward more clearly into 2021.
Words matter, and that's why that's really something to think about. I say that with, you know, when I offer that invitation to everybody listening, thanks, all the hearts, thank you. But here's why I say that, because I spent most of my New Year's Eve in my cups, maybe shedding a little tear, eating too much, you know, getting ready to just slather myself with more resolutions than I could count the next day, like just stripping myself of every pleasure in life.
Right.
And so I was just going to freaking live it up one more time.
Yes.
So the fact that this year has really grabbed me and gotten me to say, I'm going to be in such a place of honoring. And really, honestly, it's not any big hootenanny of a deal. Grab a candle, light it, bow your head, do namaste, take 5 deep breaths, you know, say the word you want to speak into your life for the next year. That's a ceremony. Yeah. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to like be in a costume. Right. You know, it really is about just a little bit of an intention, a little bit of a thing, just a little bit of a thing.
Yeah. Make it small. Don't create more resistance or more obstacles to just being in the present moment. Ceremony is when, and really like setting that intention in that container of like 5 minutes. I'm just going to sit here, light a candle, and be with what is within, what's coming up. What is my word for 2021? What am I releasing? What am I bringing forward? And really just mark that.
Yeah,
like use ceremony to really mark this time. We've been through a lot this year. There's a lot of stuff happening.
We've been through a lot, and I've got news. Life as we knew it is over. We're never going back to that, ever, 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 ever. And that, if with the right mindset, with the right framing, if you really work on your belief system, that could be very good news. Very good news that you and I can connect like this and talk about this very thing, these soulful matters in a way, and use this particular platform to talk about the stuff that matters to us. That's magic. Yeah. That's amazing.
And I think, you know, to bring the word simple into this conversation, I like years ago, this concept of becoming a simplitarian came out of nowhere. And I was like, oh, that's really, it's like this year has really invited us to get clear on what matters, like what truly matters at the end of the day.
Simplitarian. Oh my gosh. My mind is blown. That opens up a whole new thing of possibility.
Good. I like possibility because that's what it is, right? It's like in this space, in this time, is not only getting clear about what matters and how do we live in alignment with our core values and in integrity with who we are, why we're here, and what's going to continue the longevity of our species on this planet. Is like we
That's
got we
right.
got some things to shift, and
That's right.
things to remember of like what truly matters: water, food, community, like
Yeah,
living in right relationship with the earth. Like all of this stuff
that's right.
really does matter. And I think, if anything, Sherry, and I know you're so brilliant and wise on these topics of soul, is it's like it's a return to soul,
It sure is.
of like
It really is.
really going deeper into the unseen and the
Yes.
world of soul and spirit, and opening
Right.
ourselves up for a deeper dialogue.
And there's more mood space than solemnity to that.
Mm.
There's solemnity, making it very solemn, very, very like, and also magic, mystical,
Right.
illumination. There's a, listen, the life force has a fantastic sense of humor, 2020, in many ways. And also there is, we're supposed to be playful and joyful and fun. And I always made that mistake. Anytime, like
Mm.
all of a sudden it was time to get spiritual, it's like, dial it down, bow my head,
Right.
get very quiet, no talking. Um, it was a very restrained, it
Mm.
wasn't really who I was.
Yeah.
It,
Like
it's
very
and so it's
rigid.
like, okay, let me put on this suit of clothes,
Mm.
my sacred, my spiritual suit of clothes, and I over these last several years, I could feel myself unleashing that. I'm taking off all those restrictions, and I know that magic is afoot, and that
Yes.
all of our connections, it's mystical, these web-like threads that
Mm.
are, setting our intentions into motion and connecting us to make our dreams come true. So that's why this moment, this time
Mm.
that you and I are talking matters so much.
Mm.
So don't let, as these hours tick by, you're on the West Coast too, right, Kylie?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've got 5 hours and 45 minutes before New Year's Eve. And so I love that. How can I move through this with grace? You know, when you're in the middle of the struggle, when
Mm.
somebody you love is suffering, how do I move through that with grace? That is a very, very um, understandable question.
Yeah.
And what would
If
you say, my
I,
friend?
yeah, I hope, for me, first of all, grace is one of my favorite words. It's a word that continually guides my life in every way and on every layer. And I think in order to really embody that word, there has to be enough space within ourselves to have grace towards our full range of human emotions
Right.
in this time, especially with what's rising to the surface. And so, if we can have compassion and walk with grace towards every single part of ourselves, it becomes
So
so
good.
much easier to walk with grace in the world around us, in our relationships, in our communities, and yeah, in our lives.
Yes. I think that's really that there also there's a bit of a delicacy to that as well. The thing that comes to mind for me, Kylie, is for our friend being, I'm going to say this wrong, Aiva, this year is ending with my dad in the
Mm.
hospital with COVID, fighting for his life.
Oh,
Hard.
yeah.
And the only experience I have that comes to mind, so I'll share it, is the morning, December 19th, 2009, when my little brother died in his sleep.
Mm.
And I made the long drive from the city to my parents' house to tell them. And, I walked through that day, which arguably the most challenging day of my life, like our
Yeah.
friend Aiva's going through. And I just said, let me slow this down so much so I don't miss,
Mm.
in my upset, that I don't miss something essential. And what I
Wise.
saw was everything was love.
Mm.
Like the wailing of pain, love, the getting making a pot of coffee, the love, the, you know, sitting on the couch with my sister-in-law, holding her hand, saying nothing, just breathing in sync with
Mm-hmm.
her, love. And so that's for somebody like you, good friend, that is facing a challenge like that. All I can say is slow it down and find the love.
Mm.
Come back to presence and find the love. And in that love is the treasure.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm.
you'll never be sorry you were present.
Yeah. Oh
You'll
gosh,
never be
isn't that the
sorry.
truth?
That is so true. That
Oh,
is so true. And
no truer
always
words.
no truer words. All right,
Yeah.
so here we are, and
Mm.
I've brought you on here to do a little excavation, to do a little mining. I feel like an investigative reporter. What is your what
Who
what?
are
Because
you?
I think this is just the medicine we all need. What
Mm.
is your beautiful no, Kylie?
Mm. Sherry, I've been sitting with this question since the invitation arrived, and you know, like all of us, so many beautiful no's have graced my path, and I've met them with, you know, you would think with less resistance over time, but I have to say, like, depending on the intensity of the attachment, the resistance tends to match it. So I'm just like always
Oh
amazed
God.
at
Okay,
that.
wait. I want to make sure I understand what you just said.
Yeah.
The intensity of the attachment to the outcome you're saying is the degree to which you have the resistance?
Resistance. Yeah.
Oh gosh. And plus, and then the pain.
Right.
Oh.
Right.
Mm.
So because that no, whether it's internal or external, is an invitation for what I call initiation. Is like we are no longer going to be living in the same reality that we were the moment before the no.
Right.
Right? It's like so parts of us have to die, or realities of what we thought was going to happen have to fall away and have to be dismantled and composted so that we can really mine these times in our lives for the deeper wisdom that is presenting in that no. And I think your
Yes.
book so beautifully describes that journey well. Um, so for me, I'm going to start at like my original like beautiful no, and I think because that really provides such a beautiful origin story, is I my beautiful no was 7 years ago now. I got married at 22 years old. I was a young chicken. I thought I had it all figured out, Sherry. I was like, this is the path. You graduate from college, and I was the perfectionist, straight A, people
Yep.
pleasing, caretaking, first daughter syndrome, you know, all of it. And so I was just following the path, and I thought I was rocking it. I thought I had things figured out. I was adulting really well. And about 2 years into that marriage, I mean, after complete deterioration of my body, of my life force, it was like I was bleeding out. I couldn't figure out what was wrong with me, and I didn't want to acknowledge the fact that I wasn't actually in alignment with the path that I was here to walk. So of course,
Oh.
I made it mean everything else around everybody else. You know, it's like nothing keeps you stuck in emotional purgatory like shame, blame, or shame and blame. Either shame yourself or start blaming other people for why things are the way they are.
Yeah.
And so at the end of that internal struggle and turmoil, which then became an external struggle and turmoil, my ex-husband and I came to the conclusion that, and it was a very spiritual process actually when I reflect, that it was time to go our separate ways. Now, at that time, divorce equaled death for me. It was like, you do not get divorced. Like, that would completely shatter my perfect
Yes.
child identity,
We've
my
only
family
eased up
ego.
on that lately, for sure.
Right. So I was like, after it was clear and it was like, this is the path we're moving forward on. Immediately after that, it was like all the resistance from all of the conditioning that had been pummeled into my head, into my body, was like, no, you're gonna die. Like, first of all, you're not gonna survive on your own. You're not capable. You're not competent. Like, all of these fears came up out of the depths of my cells, and And I was like, no, we can't do it. Like, this isn't happening. Like, we're staying together. So I latched on to that, even though I knew it was like, and one of the things my ex-husband said to me, and he's such an angel in disguise, truly, is he looked at me one day, we were standing in our kitchen, and he goes, listen, like, you and I both know you need to go. And oh man, every part of me wanted to fight back and be like, no, no, everything's good. This is the way it's supposed to be. And deep down, I was like, oh, he's right. And he said, no matter what you say or no matter what you do, the door isn't opening. And I was like, oh my God, it's like really over. Like the door is closed and he's not opening it again. And I was like, shit, we are screwed. Because mind you, like I thought, I mean, and truly it was a forced exile. Like I was completely emotionally exiled from my family system and from my whole friend group, from like it was incredibly painful, but it was, looking back on it, incredibly necessary for me.
It was a scandal.
It was, of course,
scandal. Oh gosh, I'm so glad we've lightened up on all that a little bit. But
I know.
Oh my God, my heart is in a squeeze for you. It was a scandal.
I love you.
Like this, you know what Kylie's doing? Divorce.
Oh, for sure. But it was so much more than that. It felt like the divorce was one piece, and it definitely was a big piece. But it also, what it was reflecting back to me was that there are some points in time where it feels like the family ego or identity of who we are and how we need to show up in the world becomes more important than the well-being of an individual in the system. And I get that, but it was, and I realize now looking back that it was the catalyst for everyone in my family system to get the boat rocked enough, to shake the system enough for us to relate in a more meaningful and deeper way.
Yes.
Because we were, I mean, at least for me specifically, I can't talk for other members of my family, but it was a very surface level. You know, we were just like up here and it was all external and we didn't really talk about emotions. We didn't talk about other things. And then after that, it was like, oh shit, what happened to Kai? Because Kai's like bringing in all of the heat now. And it's
God.
like,
I'd be like, Stephen, let me get ready for you. Oh no, I know that. When someone gets real in a very carefully controlled family system where, you know, you only say this, you only do this, please.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the top's blown off.
Yeah. And luckily I was blessed with an identical twin sister who I also consider like my biggest blessing on this planet, is because I have an identical twin sister, I have been unconditionally loved since birth, and I will leave this planet unconditionally loved.
Wow.
And that's something that I realize that not a lot of people can say.
Almost nobody.
Almost nobody. And I really think about how that has impacted my capacity to love. And you shared something so beautiful. So thank you for that mirroring or that reflection of like my capacity to unconditionally love. I really do believe was because that no matter what I went through on my path, no matter through divorce or through upsetting my parents by not going to med school or whatever it was,
right,
that I had a twin sister who was like, I love you. And no matter what you do, I'm here. I got you. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, thank you. Good. You know, so it's like, it's interesting. I try to relate to, don't get me wrong, like, of course you feel the pain of exile from a whole friend group and from a previous relationship. And
right.
But there is an element here that I just had to name as being a very important piece to my path. Because as hard as it was, I didn't have to go at it fully alone or unloved.
That's right. So are you okay? So is this your beautiful no? Because you're instructing and teaching, and so I want to make sure I have the headline right.
Yeah.
You wanted to go back and make the marriage work because it was going to cause too much disruption. He says no, the door is shut. Then everything that's happened into your life right now, the family progression, your own growth, your new love story, all of that is only possible because of that one and O. Is that what you're saying?
That is exactly what I'm saying.
I know. I know. That's what I'm saying.
And
It's amazing.
yeah, it is a reflection. It is a reflection. In the moment, it was like my whole world had to crumble and die. And
Yes.
it was, it was, as everyone knows that's watching this, is everyone's been through this in their lives where they completely hit the ground and they're like, I have no clue what's next. I have no clue who I am. I have no clue where I'm going. I have no clue how I'm going to make it work. But for some damn reason, there's a part of me that knows that there's something more here and I have to listen.
That's right.
No matter how hard I grip on to what I think is the next step or what I think is right or in alignment with what other people want for me, it's like, sorry, Kai, like you're not here to live the script out in the way that you thought you were here to live it out.
That's
so
right.
Release the damn script. But Sherry, there's so much more to this in releasing that, because these are my survival strategies. I mean, this is my identity. This is who I was and how I related to the world. And it was like, oh gosh, if I get divorced, if I'm this person, then I don't know who I am. And that's a really soul-shaking question to ask at 25 when you think you're figuring out life. It's like, oh shoot,
for the love of God.
I know, right? You're like, that's so young. But in the moment.
I know.
But in the moment,
matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter when you are following along on a path. And see, I was trying to get on the path that looked right. I was desperately trying to get on that path.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, I'm making Slurpees or I'm doing, you know what I mean? I was desperate to get on the path that you were like excavating yourself from. I love that so much. I want to just say my friend Phoebe was asking, do you, this exile that you speak of, was that just like people mad at you or like, you know, is that what constituted that exile? Were you, she's saying, were you in a religious sect or something?
Oh, no. Sorry. I use that word in the way that Tokapah Turner uses it, who wrote the book Belonging. And it feels like, for me, it was emotional, but it also was the completion of a whole friend group and community. So like all of my friends that I was friends with through my ex-husband, like I didn't talk to anybody after. Like it was a completely abrupt rupture where it was like I was exiled out of the group. I was exiled out of the family system. I was like kicked to the curb, and that rocked me because in my mind I was like, there's no way that these people will just fall away. We were so close and we had good relationships. And I remember my mom looking at me and being like, oh, that's not how this reality works. Like they're not
over.
And I was like, what? And that was so hard for me to really grasp.
Be friends with both. Now there are rare exceptions to that, but I have lived that story. I have lived that story where you're like, I didn't have anything to do with this. And boom, you know, it's like, you're out, you know, there's a whole selection process that happens. And even for all of us in those extended family systems, somebody gets divorced, you know, you feel for both the people, they've been together for so long, but, you know, everybody's reaching for happiness. And all of a sudden that person's like, boom, they never existed. Yeah. So that's what you mean by exile. They're not there anymore.
They're just, you're not welcome.
Yeah.
and that's
put it mildly.
You know, that's a painful experience to go through, being like, oh my gosh, one day I don't have a whole friend group because they chose somebody else over me. And you can make that mean so many things, Sherry.
Yeah, I know.
Luckily, I didn't stay stuck in the, like, well, I did stay stuck in shame for quite a long time, actually. I think it took me about 6 years to completely excavate the shame I felt. And the shame I had continually swallowed from all of the societal messages.
Oh gosh,
the rejection and just the unlived wishes of people that were close to me that I cared about. Like it was like,
oh gosh, I know.
Like I remember and I think a lot of people can resonate with this, is taking on the responsibility for the emotional well-being of other people. Like I was a master at that. It was like, oh, I'm the reason why my whole family system did this. I'm the reason why my sister's feeling this way or my mom's feeling that way. And it was like, finally, last year I put the bags down and I was like, this is not my shit to carry anymore. Excuse my French. But it was just like, we're done. Like
we speak French on this social show.
Like, we're no longer going to allow ourselves to be the emotional punching bags for other people.
That's right.
Because so much of, you know, the people who do and feel called to live in alignment with our truth, especially if it rocks the boat and rocks the status quo, is we get so much stuff projected onto us.
Yes, we do.
And it's like, it's not mine. And I'm not going to internalize your lack of capacity to be with my truth.
Yes. That is exactly right. That is a very powerful thing you're saying, especially as we come to the end of this year, that what do you do with everybody's triggered and the most innocuous things are triggering people and they decide to lay all those eggs in your basket. And I'm with you. It's kind of like, no.
No.
And whatever happens after that, after my no, that's a different kind of beautiful no.
Yeah.
But whatever happens after that no is really, you know, your gift to heal and solve and all of that.
Yeah. I always say, stay in your own lane. Like when people try to bring it into my lane these days, I'm like, stay in your own lane. This isn't mine.
Yeah.
You know, like as a reminder to myself as well, like especially if I'm entering into somebody else's lane, I'm human, but it's like, hey, come back to your lane. Stay right here. Like,
oh, listen, you know, the minute I'm uncomfortable with my own self-management, where I'm uncomfortable with how I'm running my own show here,
yeah,
I'm instantly over looking at how everybody else can improve.
Oh, yeah.
And I say to myself, just tend to your own garden. Just tend to your own garden, because you can't fix, manage, and control everybody else's lives, even though you were paid to do that for a long time.
Totally.
That's what producing feels like. You are fixing, managing, and controlling everything. So of course that spills into your every area of your life, where you're like, you got a problem? Let me hear about it. Okay, here's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom. And really, you know, coming to the end of that, where you're like, oh, all that is a very clever strategy to distract yourself from what's there right in your own garden. The weeds you need to pull, the things you need to fertilize, the care you need to give your own life. This one life that's been put in your hands, right? I crack myself up with that every time.
Oh, it's so easy. I mean, it can be so easy to just jump into somebody else's lane, especially when we're holding on to things that really require our attention or that are painful or uncomfortable to sit with, right?
That is for sure.
And it's like, oh, I don't want to really look at this, or I don't want to have this conversation, or I don't want to go any deeper here. I don't want to feel this. So I'm just going to jump up and out and focus on this. And
I love that so much.
And, you know, it always is that call home to self of like, what's present for me here? What's the unmet emotional need?
Kyle, everybody loves hearing your beautiful no. I mean, that was very vulnerable. I know that in your work and in your journey and in your work as an emotional expert, you have been very vulnerable. And, you know, that's been a part of your path too. Tell me, what are you working on now? Like, how can people find you? And what are you doing? What are you working on? What's happening?
Yeah, there's actually a lot happening. I thank you, Sherry, for reflecting back some of my my more vulnerable pieces and shares. It's definitely been deep medicine for me, and it has been the foundation of so much trust in my community, which I'm so grateful that people feel safe with me in that way. So I have a lot happening right now. I feel like last year specifically, I went underground. I was in it. I got like a major descent into like, who are you, what matters, and how are you being called to show up on this planet at this time.
Yeah.
And after emerging from what I call that womb space, man, was I getting a freaking fire under my you know what. It was like, hey, you're here, let's go. We need
Yeah.
we need you to start showing up. So I have a few offerings or invitations that I'm currently dancing with, and one of them actually begins January 11th. It's called Anchored, and it's a 12-week group mentorship journey for women who are ready to unhook from codependent patterns and from sourcing validation, worth, safety, and security from someone or something outside of themselves so that they can anchor more deeply into their truth, their desires, their soul, their mission, their purpose for being here, so that they can be fully sovereign and energetically just. So there's that piece, and then of course I've been on Mind, and I love that
Yes,
platform.
our Mind platform. You
Yes,
guys follow at Do You Mind? It is
yes.
the world's first emotional network,
Hmm.
and Kylie is an expert, and I'm helping behind the scenes. But we're awfully proud of it, aren't we? We love it.
Yeah, it's been, Sherry, it's been such a beautiful way to increase, just like this conversation actually, it reminds me of this, is to be able to drop deeper and into more intimacy with someone else, but also a community who is wanting to be guided on a journey in some way that you are offering. So my 8-week series on there is How to Stop People Pleasing. It is, I kid you not, I really did put some of my best work into that series, because I was like, why did I go through this initiation or this process if I'm not here to share it with the world? So
I hear you, girl.
I highly recommend jumping on Mind. It's free. Watch my 8-week series. If you resonated with any of my story today, it's on
Mind, and Mind is still free.
it's still free.
We're
So
still giving it out for free. Yeah.
yeah. And then yeah, my twin sister and I, Jess, co-founded a company called Selfhelp, and we're launching our 12-month certification program beginning in March. And that's for beautiful souls who are feeling called to do healing work and make a living doing healing work. So if
I
that
love
feels
that. I love it.
aligned.
You know, listen, we're all gonna be a bunch of healers. So
I
that's in March.
know.
Hey, Court, you're listening tonight. Court, will you put up Kylie's website and Zura Health so everybody can find it? Here, some people are asking because, of course, my free workshop, my week-long workshop, Kylie, starts January 11th. My 5-week challenge starts January 11th. It's 5 days. 5 days, 1 hour a day, and then I'll launch a 12-week program.
Yay!
Kylie's 12-week program launches on January 11th. Here's what I want to say about 2021. 2021, do it all. You know, go to the buffet. Go to the buffet of transformation and more love and learning new things and unleashing yourself all over that freaking year. Because here's what I believe, Kylie, that there is no guru. No one else is
Yes.
coming to answer all this for you. No one else is coming to manage it and put it all together. I spent most of my life waiting for my life manager to show up. Who's going to figure all this out?
Oh,
Listen, I'll just take this big job and somebody else come in and figure all the rest out. Nobody's coming.
nobody's
You
coming.
are your own guru, and anybody who's a guide or a teacher or a sharer of wisdom, their job is to make themselves irrelevant, unnecessary, not needed,
Yeah.
because they have reminded you what you already know. Isn't that right?
Oh, I could not agree more. It's like it is time to really source internally our truth, our, yeah, take responsibility. I mean, for me, that was a really big step, because it was so much easier to outsource that and be like, well, if they're the one walking the path and making the decisions, then it's not really on me.
Yeah.
And it's like, but you're not actually living in
I know.
in
And
integrity
really,
with.
yes.
So,
Well, and also the guru shopping thing.
oh,
You know, at a
yeah.
certain point, I stopped calling myself a seeker. You know, it
Mm,
started at 20 years old in the self-help book aisles. I
yeah.
stopped calling myself a seeker in the last couple of years, and I'm like, I'm a finder. I'm a finder.
Mm,
You
I
know,
love it.
I'm in charge. I listen to all the offerings, and then I'm in charge of what my language is and what matters
Mm,
to me. I want to give a shout out to Michelle. Michelle, that you're going to the buffet. You're fighting stage 1 cancer. Had a
mm,
lumpectomy. Oh, healing light, healing
yeah.
light, healing light to you, Michelle. Healing
Sending
light to
love.
you. Oh my gosh, you're right in the middle of this vortex of this annual change. Oh, look, and I'm doing something crazy. This was a bit of a mistake. Hold on, hold on,
Sherry, I
hold
love you.
on. Oh Lord,
Oh,
this is where Ted the editor, who you know too, Kylie, is
oh
just gonna
yes.
go,
He's
jeepers, just don't touch anything. Yes, Michelle, use this energy, everything we've been
mm,
talking about, the ceremony, the candle, the breath. Call it in for yourself. Call that healing in for yourself. That's what I want for you. I'm going to light my candle for you tonight. That's what I'm going to
mm,
do.
yeah.
Kylie, any last words to our all these friends? I mean, we've had such a great crowd tonight.
I know it's
Um,
been so beautiful.
so good, such a great crowd. It just energizes me that at this you know, this time as we're counting down to New Year's Eve. Um, what is your message to us, my friend?
Hmm. My message is simple. Is you are here for a very specific reason, and it's time to remember who you are, how powerful you are, and how innately good you are.
Yeah,
Like there's been so much distortion around how we view ourselves, and how much judgment and blame and how we think we're broken, and I just want to throw all of that away and be
yeah,
like, there's nothing wrong with you. And it's time to remember just how strong, beautiful, courageous, pure, innocent, and good you truly are. So, my wish is for hopefully more space for play and adventure as we journey into 2021. Did
yeah.
you hear that? Was
More
that?
space for play and adventure. Amen. I did hear that.
Oh,
Amen
okay.
to that. Amen to that. You're starting to go out. Kylie, thank you so much for joining me. I
Love
appreciate
you,
you so
Sherry.
much.
Thank
I
you.
love you too. I love
Have a
you, my
beautiful
friend.
night. Love you, Shab.
You guys, thanks for showing up. That was a great conversation. And think about tonight, just doing that little ritual. Think about our friend Michelle, who just had her lumpectomy today and probably a little nervous, but hopefully expectant that all is well. Oh shoot, lipstick color and brand. Sorry about that. Kylie, can you still hear? Can you write down what your lipstick color and brand is? I wear Beauty Counter. What's mine? 9 to 5, I think, is mine. My berry lip. You girl, everybody, thank you so much for showing up. Ceremony, light the candle, get out. If you don't have the Palo Santo wood, um, then literally just take a little piece of paper and start writing about what you're leaving behind and light a match to it because a new day is a coming. And we're going to bless and thank the year that was. Thanks everybody for showing up tonight. Love, 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 love. Love and light to you.